We are going to talk about treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So once the diagnosis of the trigeminal neuralgia is established, after that the treatment regimen is given to the patient. Now initially what happened? Medical treatment is given. Initial medical treatment is given. If medical treatment is not able to provide relief in the patient or not able to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia, so in this condition what happens? Surgical treatment is given. Surgical treatment is given. So initially the medical treatment is given. If this medical treatment is not able to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia, so in this condition surgical treatment is given. So we can say that the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is divided into two groups. First is the medical treatment and second is the surgical treatment. So we can say that treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is divided into two groups. First is the medical treatment and second one is the surgical treatment. Now under medical treatment, basically different types of drugs are administered. Or under medical treatment, different types of drugs are administered to the patient. For example, the most common drug which is administered to the patient under the medical treatment is carbamazepine. Intramuscular morphine. Trichloroethylene. Diphenyl hydantoin sodium, etc. So there are different types of drug which is administered to the patient under the medical treatment. Some of them include carbamazepine, intramuscular morphine, trichloroethylene, diphenyl hydantoin sodium, etc. Now when we talk about the surgical treatment, so surgical treatment, the aim of surgical treatment is to create interruption in pain pathway between center and periphery. So the aim of this surgical treatment is what? Aim of surgical treatment is create interruption in pain pathway between center and periphery. So the aim of surgical treatment is to create interruption in pain pathway between center and periphery. Now this surgical treatment is achieved either by intracranial approach or either by extracranial approach. So it is achieved either by intracranial, or we can say that either by intracranially or either by extracranially. cranially. So achieve either by intracranially or extracranially. So this is the two modalities of treatment modalities for the trigeminal neuralgia. First is the medical treatment and second is the surgical treatment. Under the medical treatment, different types of drug is administered to the patient, and under the surgical treatment, the aim of surgical treatment is to create pain interruption in pain pathway between center and periphery. Now, this surgical treatment is achieved either by intracranial approach or either by extracranial approach. So this is all about the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Now after that, what happened? So after that, what happened? Analgesics, including opiates. So what happened? Analgesic including opiates does not able to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia, or we can say that analgesic including opiates are not the effective drug in trigeminal neuralgia. This drug is not effective in case of trigeminal neuralgia. Not effective drug. Not effective drug for trigeminal neuralgia. Now what happened? The drug of choice in case of trigeminal neuralgia is anti-epileptic drug. Anti-epileptic. So the drug of choice in case of trigeminal neuralgia is anti-epileptic drug. Now this anti-epileptic drug is a drug of choice for in case of trigeminal neuralgia. So it is a DOC, drug of choice in case of trigeminal neuralgia. Now when we talk about these anti-epileptic drugs, so this anti-epileptic drug is administered during night. This anti-epileptic drug is administered during night. During night. Now, why this anti-epileptic drug in case of trigeminal neuralgia is administered during night? Because if this drug is administered during night, so their serum concentration is maximum. Serum concentration is maximum in early morning. Early morning. So what happened? The anti-epileptic drug in case of trigeminal neuralgia is administered during night. Why it is administered during night? Because it is this drug is administered during night, so their serum concentration is maximum in early morning. And early morning is a time where maximum chance of precipitating the trigeminal neuralgia pain. So in early morning there is a maximum chance to precipitate trigeminal neuralgia pain. So if in early morning the serum concentration of anti-epileptic drug is maximum, so there is a reduction in the chance of precipitating the trigeminal neuralgia pain. So that's why the anti-epileptic drug is administered during night. Because if this drug is administered during night, their serum concentration is maximum. In early morning, there the maximum chance of precipitating the trigeminal neuralgia pain. Now, this anti-epileptic drug is administered to the patient of trigeminal neuralgia in three dose form. So it is administered in patient of trigeminal neuralgia in 3 dose form. The first dose form is initial dose. First dose is initial dose. This is the first dose form. Second dose form is maximum maintenance dose, or we can say that maintenance dose. and third form is withdrawal dose. The third is withdrawal dose. So this antiepileptic drug is administered in 3 doses or in 3 doses form. Okay. The first one is what? Initial dose. Second is maintenance dose. And third is a withdrawal dose. So when we talk about the initial dose, so initial dose is actually those dose which is given to the patient initially. Now after the initial dose, the maintenance dose is given to the patient, and after the maintenance dose, if the symptoms of the trigeminal neuralgia or clinical manifestation of the trigeminal neuralgia is completely disappear or tends to disappear, so in this case withdrawal dose is administered to the patient. So this is basically the 3 dose form by which the anti-epileptic drug is given to the patient of trigeminal neuralgia. Now after that, when we talk about the medical treatment and surgical treatment in detail, so next is the detail about the medical treatment and surgical treatment. So let's begin with the medical treatment. So when we talk about the medical treatment, so 3 group of drug is administered in medical treatment. 3 group of drugs is administered in the medical treatment. First group of drug is a first line drug. First group of the drug is a first line drugs. And this group of drug include the drug of choice for the trigeminal neuralgia, that is carbamazepine. That is carbamazepine. Now after that, the second group of drug is the second line of drug. Second line drug. Now this second line of drug or second line drug include ox carbazepine, phenytoin, then gabapentin, tricyclic antidepressants. Tricyclic antidepressant, and these drugs include amitriptyline, antidepressants. So tricyclic antidepressants include amitriptyline, etc. Now when we talk about the third group of drugs, so the third group of drug is newer drugs. Newer drugs for trigeminal neuralgia. Newer drugs. And these newer drugs include what? These newer drugs include GABA agonist and baclofen. So when we talk about the medical treatment, so 3 groups of drug is basically administered under the medical treatment. First is the first line of drug, which include carbamazepine. Second group of drug is the second line drugs, which include oxcarbazepine, phenytoin, gabapentin, tricyclic antidepressant, which include amitriptyline, etc. Now, third group of drug is the newer drugs, which include the GABA agonist and baclofen, etc. So these all are the drugs which are administered under the medical treatment for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Now, after that, the main drug or the drug of choice for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is actually what? Actually, the anti-epileptic drug. So, anti-epileptic drug is basically the drug of choice for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Like the carbamazepine. Carbamazepine is the first line of drug or the drug of choice for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia, and carbamazepine is the anti-epileptic drug. So basically the anti-epileptic drug is the drug of choice for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So let's talk about how these anti-epileptic drugs work in case of trigeminal neuralgia. So basically, let's talk about the mechanism of action of anti-epileptic drug. So here I am going to talk about mechanism of action. Mechanism of action of anti-epileptic drugs. Anti-epileptic drugs like carbamazepine. So basically what happened, so as we already know, this is a midbrain. So as we already know, this is actually the picture of brainstem, and this is a midbrain, this is pons, this is medulla, and this is spinal cord. Now in case of trigeminal neuralgia, what happened? Here is the trigeminal ganglion. Here is the trigeminal ganglion. Now three branches are emerges from the trigeminal ganglion. Three branches are emerges from the trigeminal ganglion. First one is V1, second is V2, and third is V3. Now in case of trigeminal neuralgia, what happened? The sensory bundle or root of trigeminal neuralgia, which is emerging from the mid-pons region and enter into the trigeminal ganglion, emerging from the mid-pons region and enter into the trigeminal ganglion. So what happened? The sensory root, or we can say that the root of trigeminal nerve emerging from the mid-pons and enter into the trigeminal ganglion. So here is the mid-pons, and from here the root of trigeminal nerve emerge and enter into the enter into the trigeminal ganglion. So from the mid-pons, the root or bundle of fiber of trigeminal nerve emerge and enter into the trigeminal ganglion. Now in case of trigeminal neuralgia, what happened? As we already know, in case of trigeminal neuralgia, the superior cerebellar artery loop over the root of trigeminal ganglion, the trigeminal nerve. So in case of trigeminal neuralgia, here is the superior cerebellar artery, and this superior cerebellar artery loop over the root of trigeminal nerve. So this superior cerebellar artery loop over the root of trigeminal nerve. So this is basically the reason of precipitating the trigeminal neuralgia. So in trigeminal neuralgia, basically what happen? The superior cerebellar artery loop over the root of what? Root of trigeminal nerve, and due to which there is a demyelination, and demyelination leads to the injury of the nerve root, and injury of the nerve root basically precipitate the pain or typical pain of the trigeminal neuralgia. Now when we talk about the one nerve fiber, when we talk about the single nerve fiber which is injured or which is undergo compression and finally demyelination, and after demyelination finally undergo injury during the trigeminal neuralgia. So when we talk about this single nerve fiber, so consider this is a single nerve fiber. So this is basically the single nerve fiber. Now when we talk about the cell membrane of these nerve fiber, so zoom it, and after that when we talk about the cell membrane of these nerve fibers, so in cell membrane basically what happens? So consider this is the cell membrane. So this is the basically the cell membrane of single nerve fiber. Now within the cell membrane what happens? Sodium gate or sodium channel is present. So within the cell membrane what happens? Sodium gate and sodium channel is present. So within the cell membrane sodium gate and sodium channel is present. Now this sodium gate and sodium channel having two gates. First is the extracellular gate. So consider this is the extracellular aspect. Extracellular. And this is intracellular aspect. So what happened in the cell membrane of the nerve fiber? What happens? Sodium gate is present. This is the sodium gate or sodium channel. Now this sodium gate and sodium channel having two gates. First is a extracellular gate. First one is a extracellular gate. First one is extracellular gate and second one is intracellular gate. First one is extracellular gate, second one is intracellular gate. First one is extracellular gate and second one is intracellular gate. Now in resting state, when we talk about the resting state, so in resting state, the first condition is related to the resting state. So in resting state what happens? The extracellular gate of the sodium channel, remain closed. The extracellular gate of the sodium channel remain closed. So this is a closed. And intracellular gate of the sodium channel remain open. So in this condition what happens? Sodium is not able to enter inside the cell because the extracellular gate is closed and intracellular gate is open. So sodium does not able to enter inside the cell. So this happen in resting state. Now when we talk about the second stage, which is actually the active state. So second condition represent the active state. So when we talk about the active state, so in active state what happen? The extracellular gate of the sodium, the extracellular gate of the sodium channel, this is the sodium channel, this is the sodium gate. So the extracellular gate or extracellular gate of the sodium channel started to open. So this extracellular gate is started to open, and the intracellular gate, which is in resting state, is actually open. This gate is started to close. So in active state what happened? The extracellular gate of the sodium channel is started to open, and intracellular gate of the sodium channel is started to close. So due to this phenomena, a transient period exists in which the both gate of the sodium channel is open. So at this level what happens? Sodium is able to enter inside the cell. So basically what happened in active state? The extracellular gate is started to open and intracellular gate is started to close. So a transient period exists in which both the gate is open, and in this period what happens? Sodium is able to enter inside the cell. Now what happens if the carbamazepine, which is a drug of choice for the trigeminal neuralgia, so if the carbamazepine, consider this is a carbamazepine and it has two hands. So if the carbamazepine it is carbamazepine. So what happens if the carbamazepine is given to the patient? So what happens? So if this carbamazepine is given to the patient, so if this carbamazepine is given to the patient, so this carbamazepine so if this carbamazepine is administered or given to the patient, so this carbamazepine cause opening of the extracellular gate of the sodium channel and closing of the intracellular gate of the sodium channel, due to which what happens? Sodium is again not able to enter inside the cell. Sodium is not able to enter inside the cell, because the extracellular gate of the sodium channel is open but the intracellular gate of the sodium channel is closed. So the carbamazepine cause a condition in which the extracellular gate of the sodium channel remain open but the intracellular gate of the sodium channel is closed. So this condition or this state is known as inactive state. Inactive state. So this is the condition number 3. So basically what happened? The carbamazepine, which is the drug of choice for the trigeminal neuralgia, arrest the neuron in inactive state. And in inactive state, what happens? Sodium is not able to enter inside the cell because the intracellular gate of the sodium channel is closed by the carbamazepine. So we can say that carbamazepine basically arrests the neuron in an active state. Due to this reason, what happens? There is no propagation or there is no generation of the impulse take place, and if there is no propagation and generation of impulse take place, that's why there is not precipitation of any typical pain of the trigeminal neuralgia, that is not precipitated paroxysmal pain. So this is basically happens in case of anti-epileptic drug, and this is basically the mechanism of action of the anti-epileptic drug. How the anti-epileptic drug is how antiepileptic drug work. So in a resting state, what happen? The extracellular gate of the sodium channel remain closed while the intracellular gate of the sodium channel is open. So in this condition, sodium is not able to enter inside the cell. But in a active state, what happens? The extracellular gate is started to open and intracellular gate is started to close. So in this condition, what happens? A transient period exists where in which the both gate of the sodium channel is open and the sodium is able to enter inside the cell. While in case of inactive state, what happens? The extracellular gate is open while the intracellular gate is closed. So again, the sodium is not able to enter inside the cell. So in this way, the carbamazepine inhibit the paroxysmal attack of pain. So in inactive state, what happen? Carbamazepine inhibit paroxysmal attack of pain. Paroxysmal attack of pain. So this is all about the mechanism of action of antiepileptic drug or mechanism of action of carbamazepine. Now after that, next is the different types of drug which is used in case of trigeminal neuralgia and their doses which is administered to the patient. So let's talk about the different drugs which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia. So when we talk about the different types of drug which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia, so the first drug is carbamazepine. Now there are two types of dose which is given to the patient. First is the initial dose and second is maximum maintenance dose. Maximum maintenance dose. So first one is the initial dose and second is maximum maintenance dose. So when we talk about the initial dose of carbamazepine, so the initial dose of carbamazepine is 100. So when we talk about the initial dose of carbamazepine, so the initial dose of carbamazepine is 100 milligram BID. And when we talk about the maximum maintenance dose, so the maximum maintenance dose of carbamazepine is 1200 to 2400 milligram in 3 to 4 divided doses. So when we talk about the carbamazepine, the initial dose of carbamazepine is 100 milligram BID and maximum maintenance dose is 1200 to 2400 milligram, which is given 3 to 4 divided doses. Now after that, the second drug is the oxcarbamazepine or oxcarbazepine. Oxcarbazepine. So when we talk about the oxcarbazepine, so the initial dose of the oxcarbazepine is 300 milligram BID and the maximum maintenance dose is 1200 milligram BID. Now after that, when we talk about the third drug, so the third drug is clonazepam. So the initial dose of the clonazepam is 0.5 milligram PID and the maximum dose is 4 milligram, and within the maximum dose the maximum dose is 20 milligram. What does it mean? It means the maximum dose of this clonazepam is 0.5. The maximum dose of this clonazepam is 4 milligram, but within the maximum dose is 20 milligram. Now after that clonazepam, the next drug is lamotrigine. So when we talk about the lamotrigine, the initial dose of lamotrigine is 50 milligram QD, and the maximum maintenance dose is 300 to 500 milligram. Now after that, the next drug is topiramate. So when we talk about the topiramate, the initial dose of the topiramate is 50 milligram QD. So the initial dose is 50 milligram QD, and the maximum maintenance dose is 200 milligram. 200 milligram. Now after that, the next drug is, so this is the some drugs which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia. Now after that, when we talk about next drug, so after that, when we talk about the next drug for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is gabapentin. So the next drug is gabapentin. Next drug is gabapentin. So when we talk about the gabapentin, the initial dose of the gabapentin is 300 milligram TID, and the maximum dose is 1800 milligram. Now after the gabapentin, the next drug is baclofen. Baclofen. The initial dose of baclofen is 5 milligram, and it is given either TID or BID, and maximum dose is 80 milligram. So these are the certain drugs which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia. Now after that, when we talk about the more drugs which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia, so one another famous drug which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia is phenytoin. Phenytoin. The phenytoin is administered 100 milligram TID. Now after that, when we talk about the next drug which is used in the case of trigeminal neuralgia or treatment of trigeminal neuralgia, so the next drug is what? So the next drug is mefenacin carbamate. The dose of mefenacin carbamate is 5 to 15 ml, and this 5 to 15 ml drug is administered either 5 times a day or either administered every 3 hours. Now after that, when we talk about the more drugs which are used in case of trigeminal neuralgia, so the next drug is sodium valproate. Now sodium valproate, when we talk about the dose of sodium valproate, it is given 600 milligram per day, and the dose of the sodium valproate, and or we can say that the alternative drug of sodium valproate is a tricyclic antidepressant drug, that is amitriptyline. So amitriptyline, so alternative to the sodium valproate, amitriptyline is given. So amitriptyline is also a drug of choice for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Now beside these, there are certain other drugs which are rarely used in case of trigeminal neuralgia. So let's talk about that drugs. So when we talk about the drugs which are rarely used in case of trigeminal treatment of trigeminal neuralgia, so the first drug in this group is felbamate. Second drug is zonisamide. Third drug is vigabatrin. And the fourth drug is levetiracetam. So these are some drugs which are used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia, but these drugs are rarely used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So this is all about, basically this is all about the medical treatment which is used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So after the medical treatment, next is the surgical treatment. So in medical treatment, basically what happens, three lines of drugs, three groups of drugs are given. First group of drug is actually the first line drug, which include the carbamazepine. Second group of drug is actually the second line of drug, which include the oxcarbazepine, and along with the oxcarbazepine it includes phenytoin, then a tricyclic antidepressant drug, then gabapentin, etc. And third group of drug is actually the newer drug which include GABA agonist, and along with the GABA agonist it includes the baclofen. Now after that, the one question rises, why sometime oxcarbazepine is preferred over the carbazepine? Sometime what happen, the primary drug in first line of drug is carbamazepine, and the primary drug for the second line of drug is oxcarbazepine. So sometime what happen, oxcarbazepine is preferred over the carbazepine. Why this happen? Because one of the toxic effect of the carbazepine is bone marrow toxicity, in which what happen, there is decrease in number of neutrophils, and along with that the lifespan of the RBC also decreases. So one of the toxic effect of the carbazepine is bone marrow toxicity. Now these bone marrow toxicity problem does not comes when oxcarbamazepine is a drug of choice. So this problem does not come if the oxcarbamazepine, or this problem does not happen if the oxcarbamazepine is a drug of choice. So if in case the bone marrow toxicity occur in a patient, so in that condition carbamazepine is not a drug of choice. In this condition oxcarbazepine is a drug of choice. That's why sometimes oxcarbazepine is preferred over the carbazepine. So this is all about the medical treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Now after that, next is the surgical treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So let's talk about the surgical treatment. So next one is the surgical treatment. Now when we talk about the surgical treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is divided into the four groups. First one is the peripheral procedure. Now second one is ganglionic procedure. Now after ganglionic procedure, the third one is open procedure. And after the open procedure, the fourth one is others. So when we talk about the surgical treatment is divided into the four groups: peripheral procedure, ganglionic procedure, open procedure, and others. So let's talk about the peripheral procedure, or let's begin with the peripheral procedure. So when we talk about the peripheral procedure, so first one is peripheral procedure. So when we talk about the peripheral procedure, so this procedure is done. This procedure is done on periphery. This procedure is done on periphery of trigeminal nerve. So when we talk about the peripheral procedure, so this procedure is basically done on periphery of trigeminal nerve. Now, fourth procedure comes under the peripheral procedure. So when we talk about those procedures, the first one is what? Fourth procedure comes under this procedure. First, second, third, and the fourth one. The first is a long-acting anesthetic injection. Long-acting anesthetic injection. Second is alcohol injection. And the third one is cryotherapy. And the fourth one is what? So fourth one is, here the fourth one. So fourth one is peripheral neurectomies. So fourth one is peripheral neurectomies. So under the peripheral neurectomies, five different types of neurectomy is performed. So when we talk about the peripheral procedure, so four procedure comes under the peripheral procedure: long-acting anesthetic injection, alcohol injection, cryotherapy. And fourth one is a peripheral procedure. Now under the peripheral, fourth one is the peripheral neurectomies, and under the peripheral neurectomies, five different types of neurectomies can be performed. So when we talk about these different types of neurectomies, so first one is conventional intraoral approach. Conventional intraoral approach. Second one is the transantral approach. Transantral approach. Third one is mental nerve. Third one is mental nerve. Neurectomy. Mental nerve neurectomy. Fourth one is lingual nerve. And fifth one is inferior alveolar nerve neurectomy. So when we talk about the peripheral neurectomies, so the peripheral neurectomies include conventional intraoral approach. Second one is transantral approach. third one is mental nerve neuroctomy, fourth one is lingual nerve neuroctomy, and fifth one is inferior alveolar nerve neuroctomy. Now when we talk about the different types of approaches comes under these different types of neurotomies or different types of incision which is given in different types of neurotomy. So when we talk about the different types of incision which is given under the different types of neurotomy. So in case of conventional intraoral approach, the incision is given is U-shaped incision. U-shaped incision, and this U-shaped incision is also known as Caldwell Lue incision. So what happens in case of conventional intraoral approach, U-shaped incision is given, which is also known as Caldwell Lue incision. Now when we talk about the transantral approach, so in transantral approach, Brown's incision is given. Brown's incision is given. Now when we talk about the mental nerve neuroctomy, so in this condition mandibular vestibular incision is given. Mandibular vestibular incision is given. Now in case of lingual nerve neuroctomies, what happens? Vertical incision is given. Vertical incision is given. Now inferior alveolar nerve neuroctomies is carried out either intraoral approach or either extraoral approach. So it is carried out either intraoral approach. Intraoral approach, and if the inferior alveolar nerve neuroctomy is carried out by intraoral approach, so the incision given in this condition is inverted Y-shaped incision. Inverted Y incision, or it is also known as Ginwala's incision. So what happens if the inferior alveolar nerve neuroctomy is carried out by intraoral approach? So in this condition, inverted Y incision or inverted Y-shaped incision, which is also called Ginwala incision, is given. And if this inferior alveolar nerve neuroctomy is carried out by extraoral approach, is carried out by what? Is carried out by extraoral approach. Extraoral approach. So in this condition, incision is given known as Risdon incision. Risdon incision. So this is all about the peripheral neurotomies and different types of incision which is given in case of peripheral neurotomy. Now after that, next procedure is the ganglionic procedure. So this is all about the peripheral procedure. Next surgical procedure is a ganglionic procedure. So let's talk about the ganglionic procedure. So next surgical procedure is ganglionic procedure. So when we talk about the ganglionic procedure, so there are three procedures comes under the ganglionic procedure. First is the percutaneous radiofrequency rhizotomy, second is percutaneous balloon compression, and third one is percutaneous glycerol rhizotomy. So second one is a ganglionic procedure. Second one is ganglionic procedure. And the first procedure which comes under the ganglionic procedure is what? The first procedure which comes under the ganglionic procedure is percutaneous radio frequency rhizotomy. Now when we talk about the percutaneous radio frequency rhizotomy, so in this procedure what happen, thermal lesion is created. In this condition what happen, thermal lesion. In this condition what happen, thermal lesion is created, and this thermal lesion which is created in percutaneous radio frequency rhizotomy, this thermal lesion is used to treat the trigeminal neuralgia, or this thermal lesion is used to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia. Now this thermal lesion is produced by using power, by using voltage, by using current. Now this thermal lesion is produced by using power, voltage and current. Now when we talk about the power, so in this condition basically 25 watt power is used, 40 to 45 volt voltage is used, and 120 to 140 milliampere current is used. So in percutaneous radio frequency rhizotomy, thermal lesion is created, and this thermal lesion is basically used to treat the trigeminal neuralgia. And this thermal lesion is created by using the power 25 watt voltage, 40 to 45 volt, and current 120 to 140 milliampere. Now after that, the second procedure is percutaneous balloon compression. Second procedure is percutaneous balloon compression. Percutaneous balloon compression. Percutaneous balloon compression. This is the second ganglionic procedure. Now in percutaneous balloon compression, what happens? Mechanical lesion is created. So in this condition, mechanical lesion is created, and this mechanical lesion is used to treat the trigeminal neuralgia, or this mechanical lesion is used to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia. Now this mechanical lesion is created by using Now in percutaneous balloon compression, what happens? Mechanical lesion is created, and this mechanical lesion is created by using number 4 Fogarty catheter. Number 4 Fogarty's catheter, and this Fogarty's catheter is inflamed, and this inflammation of the Fogarty's catheter causes the compression of trigeminal ganglion, and compression of the trigeminal ganglion create the mechanical lesion. So basically what happens, initially the Fogarty catheter is like this, and if this catheter and consider here is a trigeminal ganglion, here is a trigeminal ganglion, and this is a Fogarty's catheter. So what happens initially, if this Fogarty catheter is inflamed, so it increases in size and it becomes like this, and due to this inflammation what happens, it compresses the trigeminal ganglion. So it started to compress trigeminal ganglion, and this compression creates the mechanical lesion, and this mechanical lesion is basically used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So this is all about the percutaneous balloon compression. After that, next is the percutaneous glycerol rhizotomy. So next one is percutaneous, that is third one. A large ganglionic procedure is percutaneous glycerol rhizotomy. Percutaneous. Third one is percutaneous glycerol rhizotomy. So in this procedure, what happens? Chemical lesion is created. So in this procedure, chemical lesion is created, and this chemical lesion is created by using glycerol. This glycerol is actually the neurolytic agent. This glycerol is actually what? Neurolytic agent. Lytic agent. And by the help of this glycerol, what happens? Chemical lesion is created, and this chemical lesion is used to treat the trigeminal neuralgia, and this chemical lesion is used to provide relief from the symptoms of trigeminal neuralgia. So this is all about the ganglionic procedure. After the ganglionic procedure, next one is the open procedure. So let's talk about the third surgical procedure, that is a open procedure. So the open procedure is basically done by, the ganglionic procedure is basically done on trigeminal ganglion. The peripheral procedure is basically done on periphery of trigeminal nerve. Similarly, the open procedure is done by craniotomy. The open procedure. So the third one is the open procedure. So the open procedure is done. This open procedure is done by what? This open procedure is done by craniotomy. So this open procedure is done by craniotomy. Now two procedure comes under the open procedure. First one is MVD, microvascular decompression. This is microvascular decompression. And the second one is PSR. Second one is PSR. PSR is partial sensory rhizotomy. Partial sensory rhizotomy. So when we talk about the MVD, so when we talk about the microvascular decompression, so in microvascular decompression, two approaches are used. First is a Geneta's approach and second is a Dandy approach. And in partial sensory rhizotomy, single approach is used known as Frazier's approach. So these are the different types of approach which are used in case of MVD and PSR. So this is all about the open procedure which is done by the craniotomy. Now the last surgical procedure is the others, or last treatment option for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is other. So when we talk about the other, two process comes under the other, two procedure comes under the other. First one is a psychological treatment and second one is botulinum toxin injection. So when we talk about the other, so other include the first one is a toxic Sorry, it includes the botulinum toxic A injection, and second one is psychological treatment. So this is all about the other treatment option which is used for the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. First one is the botulinum toxic A injection, and the second one is the psychological treatment. So this is all about the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. So the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia is basically divided into two groups. First is the medical treatment, second is the surgical treatment. So this is all about the treatment of trigeminal neuralgia. Thank you.